I picked a target market that was selling intangible services. I was very specific on that's what I wanted to target. Why? I wanted to sell consulting services, so I knew my vertical had to be somebody who was also selling consulting services because they sold it, they understood it, they were more likely to pay for it. The other thing that I looked for was high transaction value. So I looked for somebody who was selling a product or a service, really a service, sorry, that was that had a high transaction value. Here's what I mean. If I'm a marketing consultant and I show you how to a system, a process, a marketing thing that will double sales. If I go to you and your average transaction size is $1,500, let's say, and I double that to $3,000, or if I go into, because I did look at this, I looked into even like cosmetic dentists and financial services. Well, if a cosmetic dentist, their average patient transaction size is about, I think it's like $30,000 or $40,000. So if I can show you how to double that, that's a lot of money. Then my fees become irrelevant. Now, if I go into like somebody who's running a local ice cream parlor and I show them how to double transaction size and their average transaction size is $5 and I show you how to make 10, it's really hard charging $3,000 a month for that, because you got to sell a whole lot of ice cream to do that, right? So the other thing I was looking for, somebody who was in services, somebody who understood intangible, also high transaction value, and I also, there was like an energy. I love numbers, I love metrics, I'm very analytical. You are all very analytical and detail oriented, and I love that. So there was also that energy. So, again, when you're picking a vertical, you don't have to, but I would narrow it down at least to some necessity industries. I would start thinking about, just some characteristic traits of what you sell and what you're about and how it matches up with that target market, all right? So now, here's the upside. If you pick an industry vertical, here is the upside. Marketing becomes a lot easier and more effective. I mean, me compared to other marketing firms, the number of leads, the quality of leads, the conversion we get, the retention we have is exponentially higher than the majority of my colleagues who are not in a vertical. So marketing becomes easier, it becomes more effective. Like you heard Will say that up on stage, he was saying, if you're up against me and, I'm, with a manufacturer that sells fasteners and I'm your competition, the chances of you winning that bid are slim and none, right? And so that's what I mean. So, and you can build custom solutions because you start to understand their business, you understand the software they use, you understand the process. You heard, Conrad was saying, hey, I know all about these regulations that you need to know. So you actually provide more value than just making IT work. You can actually become a business consultant to them. You can charge more due to specialization, whether it's perceived or real, specialization, because it still might be the same, but it's just tweaked a bit. It's easier to find and secure JV partners. So, if somebody, like, again, I'm going to use Will Snyder a lot because he's like the perfect example, but he talked about that trade show. You saw the trade show. One of the things he probably did do, is walk that trade show floor, because every single person there is a potential JV partner. It's a potential referral partner. It's a potential strategic partner he can work with, because they're all trying to sell to the same audience and they might not be competitive. So it's much easier to find and secure JV partners, and it reveals new opportunities to serve and sell solutions to problems that you wouldn't uncover if you were only doing surface level support. So you go much, much deeper. Now, the downsides of picking a vertical is you would likely to you have to expand geographically, right? So some of you, I know your underwear tightens up when you think about having to open another office in another location with another person. I get it. So you might have to do that. I'm not saying you have to, but that might be something you need to look at. Depending on how tightly you niche, you could cap out. We're going to talk about percentages in a minute. And if the industry gets disrupted like COVID, you go down with the ship. Like right now with the tariff situation, there are certain industries that are really in panic mode because like this one thing is impacting their business. They are your customers. You're going to go down with that ship.